Well, welcome everyone to day 4 of our Suburban Action Week. This is a kind of a two-part Zoom session. We'll get started with Eberhard Veit, the president of the McHenry County Bicycle Advocates, and then following that, we might ask if have a few questions for Eberhard, but then we'll switch to Greg Glover from Cycling Without Age, and then we'll address questions then. And in the chat, please, if you have any questions that come up or any comments, please add them to the chat. And I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Maggie Sherwinski from the Active Transportation Alliance. And with me is Brian Larson. He's a former intern of ours who lives up in Arlington Heights and a current student at UIC. And he'll be leading the Q&A portion. So please ask away, but I'll hand it over to Eberhard to get started.
Okay, my name is Eberhard Veit, and I'm the president of the McHenry County Bicycle Advocates. So there's two groups. There's the McHenry County Bicycle Club. They do the rides and all these kind of activities. The advocates basically work with the different agencies on infrastructure, things like this. I have been a transportation, I was born in Germany. And I have been a transportation bicyclist since I'm 3 years old. And in 1992, we came to the US. And here's an example of transportation bicyclists shopping at Home Depot. Those are some 8-foot boards and some other things that were purchased. Anyway, we have a website, which I'm showing here. And if you want to know how I'm looking like, that's how I look like. We have been formed in 2008. It started with the county rebuilding a road from 2 lanes with shoulders to 4 lanes without shoulders. And we were working with them to stripe on road amenity. And they even had a plan for a side trail, but it didn't happen. And we kind of got in too late. So we got some improvement, and it has now been striped after many years. But we have a very good working relationship now with the county and with the villages. We're known around town. We have a complete streets petition with 2,300 signatures. We reach about 200 people with the newsletter. We have 6 McHenry County bicycle stores, and we're cooperating with all kinds of different groups. This is kind of a logo and what we stand for, working to improve non-motorized transportation. And just an example of cycling for transportation. I say, if you can, be an example to others. You know what's possible. There's a video link here that you can go to where I tell more about transportation cycling. So what you see here, I went cross-country skiing with my skis, with my bicycle. The road was clear and there was snow on the road. And I picked up a bicycle from somebody who donated a bicycle to our Bikes for the Needy program. And there you go. That was my transportation there. Our petition, my recommendation is, if you have a petition, if you have a specific cause that at one point in time goes away, your petition is outdated. So we started after the Reykau Road, which when we started in 2008, after it was built, it was outdated. So we started a complete streets petition, which is never outdated. So that's why we started this, and we keep collecting signatures. And what we do is, I think it's a great conversation starter. So if we're tabling at an event, Earth Day, city event, county event, whatever, you ask people, hey, would you like to sign our petition? And then they say, oh, yeah, sure. Or what is it about? And then you get to talk to people. If you just stand there and wait for people to come, they usually stay at a distance. But now you have a cause and a reason to talk to them directly. And that's my experience, that is very good to spawn things. We had all kinds of different events. We demonstrated and they made test rides with e-bikes and things like this. But we always have our petitions. And if we have a current petition for a specific cause, then we just add that to it. I say be present in the community. You see here info tables. That's at Green Living. There's my bike there in the back. This is right of silence. If anybody's interested in organizing a right of silence, it can be very simple. We just publicize it. I tell the police, I say, we don't need you. If you want to join us, it's fine. We're not paying for anything. It's just like a group ride. And like Crystal Lake Police, they always bring their bike squad out. But it doesn't cost us anything. And Woodstock, they say, yeah, have fun. So if you're more interested in right of silence, let me know. You can also go to the rightofsilence.org. And that's to honor people that were injured or killed in traffic. And our goal is obviously 0 injury. So speak up at meetings. In order to be present at any public meeting, you have 3 minutes to talk. You can talk about whatever you want for 3 minutes. And we have been doing this. And if there's a specific bicycle or pedestrian related thing, we come there and we speak up. And currently we're working with the county on the McHenry County Bike and Pedestrian Plan, which they presented yesterday. We have very good connections with the planners, and we're very fortunate in McHenry County that we have great champions at IDOT and also with the park districts, with the engineers in the different municipalities. Here is one of our success stories. So this is US 14 near Woodstock, and it was expanded to 4 lanes, and it came with a trail for IDOT, but the project ended here, so the trail ended here. So you see, trail ends here, and here is another trail in Woodstock that was existing 1,200 feet in between, nothing. You can see here, this is the end of the trail from Woodstock, and then you can see there's a nice cow path, 4-lane road, and right down there where the streetlights are is where the train was ending. So I talked to everybody, and everybody said, yeah, that's really silly. Yes, that's we should really make this connection, but we can't. So I said, okay, everybody agrees this is silly, so let's stick our heads together and make it happen. And what happened? Now you can see this is where my bike was earlier on the Woodstock Trail, and then this is nicely paved, and this is the crossing where the trail was ending. After bringing those agencies together, the plan was, IDOT said we pay 80%, McHenry County DOT said we pay 20% from our non-motorized transportation budget. The city of Woodstock said, yeah, we want this, we do the engineering. And the conservation district said, we're already maintaining that trail, we add these 1,200 feet. So what I'm trying to say is we were being a catalyst. Essentially, each of these guys would not have done it, but all agreed it should be done. And by bringing them together, we catalyzed and got this thing done. This is an example of like homemade things. I live in this street, and there's a cul-de-sac over here. And I said, when in 1995, we moved in this house, I said, I need a connection there. There was a dirt path. I asked the neighbors, can I put some gravel? And they said, sure, no problem. So I built this in 1995. And I just want to note that the Prairie Trail and Fox River Trail were built by volunteers in the 70s. So it's not like I need something big. These are 2 wheelbarrows of gravel that I put in there. And then I had problems with some Jeep or 4-wheel or whatever they went through there, especially in spring when it's wet. And so there were ruts and it was awful. And I tried to block it off and put some signs, and my signs disappeared. And I talked to township, said, did you take my signs? They said, yes, we did. You can't do that. I said, okay, here's the problem. They said, well, we can fix that. And so the township road department said, okay, we'll do it. And they wanted to put a post here in the middle. I said, that's a great target to hang up on. How about 2 posts, 4 feet apart, which you can see here with my bicycle between these 2 posts and the handlebar. And they said, okay, we'll put 2 posts. And then they got really eager and they put some crushed asphalt. Then they even seeded it and put some dirt. It was wonderful. It was very low cost to them, but great for the community. And we like to go for low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit means if I see a road that's being paved, or if I know a road is going to be paved, I ask for the striping plan. I look at the striping plan and I make suggestions on how to improve it. And we have had great successes. This is a mediocre success. You can see here, I told them stripe a shoulder. And they said, yeah. And then they striped it like this. I said, that's no good. And believe it or not, we got them to grind these out and stripe it such that there is a good shoulder. So they made basically the lane narrower to 11 feet. So, you know, there was total paving width didn't change, but instead of 12-foot lanes, they made them 11 feet and then a shoulder. But what I'm saying is speaking up, having the support of the petition gives us an edge on that. Get potholes fixed, shoulders broomed, snow removed. So the township, again, they were doing this cul-de-sac at my trail, and they were piling up the snow right in front of the trail. And I got them now to plow it such that that pile up doesn't happen anymore. But in this case, you can see it's hard to get through. I just shoveled my own trail again. This is a connector at the metro station. There's a homeowners association on this side. And I didn't know who should clear this. But it's obviously bad for people walking to the metro station or for bicyclists. I called the city, they called the homeowners association maintenance, and they fixed it. When there's a pothole, there's usually a way to submit issues, or you can send an email. And once the agency knows about the problem and you say it's a fall hazard, it's a danger, it's a this and that, then they know now they have a liability. And my experience is that within 1 or 2 days, these things get addressed, get fixed, potholes filled, shoulders broomed. If it's a small issue with stuff on the shoulder, then I just take my own broom and do it, but I'm not going to broom a mile. I do 100 feet or 200 feet, but not a mile. But they come out and they broom it. Just, you know, don't get aggravated because it's not maintained, speak up, and they come out and do it. For more information, we have our bicycle advocacy website. We have these 2 videos. The one is the Rakow Road, where I show how it is and what's planned and how they're making a road worse that was good for bicycling and they made it worse. And that's our motto is, whatever you do, you can't make it worse. And I think it's sunk in. We had many meetings with the Department of Transportation. And then this is more about transportation cycling, the way I see it. I do cycle year round. I did go to work yesterday at 0 degrees. It's not a problem if it's, to my opinion, when it's like 20 minutes, half an hour, then my toes get cold. You probably all are familiar with the Ride Illinois and their Ride Illinois bike safety quiz. I recommend to go there, and anything about transportation cycling, cycling on the road, sharing the road. Yes, we advocate for neighborhood connections. We want to see when a new neighborhood is built, we want a trail between them. We talk about that and things, we get those done. And sometimes it's just they didn't think about it and they put it on the developer to make these trails. And we have examples for that. But eventually you will have to go on a major road. And Cycling Savvy is a really, really good resource and for ideas on how to do this. They have a great training program. You can take a free course, but I did take the real training. And even for me, cycling for 58 years on the road, I learned new things, new techniques. You can order the Street Smarts. which is an illustrated brochure. It's like $5, and it's really worthwhile looking at. Anybody who wants to go on the road and how to do it safely. So if, for example, I go down a 4-lane road through Crystal Lake, the right lane is mine and I'm in the middle of it, and the left lane is for the cars to pass. And I do not pass any cars that have passed me before. They passed me once, that's good enough. I will not annoy them. And things like this is what you learn from that. This is like our question answer session, and we might go back to that after Greg's presentation. And these are a couple of quick ones, questions from Maggie. When and how did you get involved? 2008, when Reka Road was changed from 2 lanes with 4-foot shoulder to 4 lanes, no shoulder. Road shoulder should never be made worse for any user. As I said, now they stripe the outside with the shoulder, and that's great. What was our biggest success? That was the Woodstock Trail on 14 and the Oak Street crossing. The only piece between the Woodstock and Crystal Lake, the trail was missing, was the Oak Street crossing with railroad, and railroad is historically very difficult to work with. And they are one of our biggest challenges in any of the trail projects. So, but we were very lucky to get this done. It took only 10 years, or I think it took more than 10 years. It took like 15 years that the Conservation District wanted to make that crossing. And just before the grant that they had expired, like 2 months before they would have, 1 month before they would have had to give the money back, we got the okay. So very lucky. Plans were in place, everything. Do you have any overall advice for advocates who are looking to improve walking, biking? I said, see my presentation, join a local group, form a local group. We are not a 501c3. We have no fees. We have no anything. What we need is people. What we need in terms of money is very limited. It's not an issue. And so we're a citizen group, and I want to spend my time on improving the system, not on asking people for money. Get support from other groups, Active Trends, right? Illinois, we have had great supports. We learned a lot from Ed Barsati, for example, at the time he got us kind of started. Find local supporters in the agencies, and we're very blessed in McHenry County to have really good champions. And how can others get involved? Go on our website, drop me a note, you can call me. If you have something you're passionate about, bring it to us, follow your passions. And now comes Greg Glover, who did exactly that. He said, hey, I think this is a great thing, I want to get involved. And then he had an idea on this cycling without age. And without further ado, I hand it over to Greg to explain on how he has been doing. We had a 9-hour ride that somebody initiated. We're not doing that anymore, but here's Greg, who is a wonderful advocate.
Greg, I think you're muted.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? No?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, Ryan
yes.
is, yes, okay, fine. And then can I share my screen? I can share my screen. There we go, boom, boom, boom. And I'm gonna go, here we go. Okay, so, you know, this year, last year especially, right? These scenes have been unfortunately too frequent, right? Not only for seniors, but many of us, but especially for seniors, you know, not being able to get out, whether it's because of COVID recently or just immobility, you know, so what can you do to help? Well, cycling without age is one way to get people outside. And so what is it? We're really just giving free recreational rides to any older adult that can't get out or on their own, has limited mobility. The rides are conducted on 3-wheeled cycles. They're pedaled just like a bicycle by a pilot. We choose to also have what we're calling a Navigator, a ride along on their bicycle, but that's really an option, not required. And the rides are intentionally slow and gentle. The idea is to have conversation. You're really not trying to get anywhere per se. It's the experience and getting outdoors. What is this organization? How did it start? It started in 2012 in Copenhagen, Denmark. You could go out and see the TED Talk from Ole Kasau, which is very inspirational. But it's just grown exponentially, 2,200 chapters now, over 50 countries. In the US, we've got 80 plus chapters, many more coming. In Illinois, there's 3, besides the one in McHenry County. There's one in Elk Grove, Sarah Simmons, and one in North Riverside, the northwest of Chicago. So what are the benefits? As I said, an opportunity just to get outside, experience nature, also to reconnect with the community. We sort of, I think too often sort of seniors are locked up in their facility and, we sort of forget about seniors and they forget about that they're part of a community. And to listen to their stories, they have amazing things to say. And, and lastly, and I love this, is just to be able to feel the wind in their hair. That's sort of the moniker of Cycling Without Age, and I think it says it perfectly. For volunteers, obviously you get to share your time and energy, but you can also get to slow down. You get to ride 5 miles an hour. So, it's a opportunity to share conversation, get to know somebody else in a calm setting. And the feedback from chapters all over the world has been that the volunteers get as much or more out of it as the seniors that are getting rides. So what are the requirements to be a pilot or navigator? Well, first of all, you need to be a good listener. That's first and foremost. You're there to listen and share stories. So that's really it. Obviously, and this really dovetails with Eberhard's talk. I mean, you really need to know the rules of the road from a cycling perspective. The vehicle is about 4 feet wide, so it's bigger than a bicycle in terms of width. So you've really got to be aware of what you're doing on the roads, and that includes taking the lane when you need to. So it's really critical. We can conduct a formal training program, certification program. You don't just hop on the Trishaw. It's not the same as riding a bike. Yes, you're pedaling, and it's got handlebars, but that's about it. It's a different experience, and one that you need to be trained for before we're going to let people out with seniors, especially. So what about liability? We get to ask this all the time, so I just might as well talk about it, right? Basically, the passengers are covered by their own insurance if they're in a care facility or their own personal insurance that they would have. All the volunteers are covered by a policy that we purchased that specifically covers cycling without age activities. And then both passengers and volunteers sign volunteer liability waivers. So in terms of COVID, yes, of course, we follow all of the standard protocols. So that masks, distancing, there's a shield between the passengers and the pilots. That's an effective barrier, essentially. So yes, you're relatively close But with that shield there, you're really very well insulated from each other. We also are right now limiting rides to seniors that haven't been, diagnosed with any pre-existing conditions. But of course, with the vaccines being given, I just talked to a care facility today in Harvard, and they are just gung-ho to get rides going. So we're super excited for 2021 to get people outside. So what are the Trishaws? There are several models. They're all produced in Europe today. It's sort of ironic that no one in North America produces on any scale, at least. I'm sure you can find one-off, cycles, right? Home built, whatever. But there's no commercial manufactured cycles like these. So there's 3 or 4 models. These first 3 are all produced in Copenhagen, and the last one in the Netherlands. This was the first model. There, the Nihola. I'm sure I'm pronouncing these terribly, and then the Trio bike, and then the latest one is the Chat, and I'll show you a little more features of that. That's the one produced in the Netherlands. They range in price from $8,000 to like $12,000, so they're not inexpensive. And that's one of the biggest hurdles for new chapters, is raising the money to buy the Trishaws. Other than that, the cost of running a program is relatively modest. Insurance and all that stuff's not too bad, really. So this is the model that we have in McHenry County, the Chat. It's really amazing machine. It's got a seat. The seat can have 1 or 2 passengers. It's got seat belts. And this feature, you would think, the footrest goes up and down. Woohoo, what's so what? Well, when you're a senior and you've got your walker, you're coming up to the Trishaw to try to swing yourself, to step up on this thing that's angled, and then swing around and sit down on the seat is not easy. So this thing goes down to the ground. You can step on it, sit down, and then that raises right up. It's a beautiful thing. Oops. Has disc brakes, an independent suspension. So the thing is like riding in a Cadillac or something. It pedals with 8 gears, just like it has a regular derailleur. It also has battery assist. So that thing in the back here, right here, is the battery. You can actually have 2 batteries, but you don't get any extra power. You can switch over if you had to. And the cool thing about the battery feature, most e-bikes, you have to be pedaling, right? And then you can kick the battery in to give you a little extra boost up the hill or whatever. This thing has an additional kickstart. So you're on the Trishaw, you got 2 people on the front, plus the Trishaw itself, it's like 200 pounds. So the whole thing is, let's say, 600 to 800 pounds of weight. You press the button and the thing will get you going, which I have personally experienced as a very necessary feature. So it's just these little things, but man, it's just a beautifully designed machine. And the last thing is, you can cycle backwards, and you're like, what? What did they throw that in because they couldn't decide what else to design? This thing is critical. I was out on the path between Hebron and Richmond. There's nowhere to turn around. It's the path, right? It's an 8-foot path, and then there's weeds and ditch. So I ended up having to go and get the thing backwards and forwards and turned around, work like a champ. But without that backwards, I would have had to somehow get this thing off, haul the back end around enough and pull forward a little bit, haul the back, with the passengers can't get out, right? So it's really an important feature. Here is a little, oh shoot, oh, stop. I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment. And here we go. This is a short little video. There we go. You wouldn't be able to hear the sound without it. You might want to turn up your sound a little bit. Let me start this here. Oh, hello, hello. There we go. Oh, this is funny. I don't know if you're hearing this. Ow! I'm not hearing the sound. Shoot.
Greg, the sound's coming through on our end, so it's okay.
I hope you can hear this. I'll play a little bit. I'll just go a little ways and then it gives you an idea of some of the rides we did.
This will really lift you up. I'm depressed clinically. I don't go out. This is something that would really.
Well, okay, I'm just going to stop there because I'm not sure you can hear the sound of this thing. But these were some of the rides. This lady that you're looking at right here, Dolores, is our first ride that we gave last August. She was a hoot. She just talked nonstop. It was like, it was great. And she, I think the best thing she said at the end, she goes, oh, this was my vacation. I never get out. And, it's like, what do you say to that? It was really great. Anyway, sorry. So some quick questions here that Maggie wanted us to answer. And I have two sets of answers. One is for Cycling Without Age and one is for the Bicycle Advocates, because Eberhard has been an inspiration. And so I wanted to acknowledge what I have done as he's helped push me in the right direction. So I joined the Bicycle Advocates in 2013. I think that was the right year. And then Cycling Without Age, we founded in 2019. So the biggest success, I talked about the first Cycling Without Age rides. But before that, because of Eberhard's work, I went out and got a petition drive for the Bull Valley Gap that is between the Prairie Path just south of McHenry over east. It's only about a mile or something to Route 31. But that gap, doesn't allow the completion of the Grand Illinois Trail, AKA Millennium Trail, all the way east through Lake County. So everybody wants it. All the municipalities want it, but nothing, formally had started. So I gathered lots of signatures and endorsements just to provide additional support. That said, that's been delayed some due to funding and who ownership and whatnot, but it's going forward now. And I think Ryan Peterson's on the calls from the DOT in McHenry County, and I applaud their leadership here. In terms of Cycling Without Age, COVID obviously impacted our ability to give rides last year, but we're looking forward to this year. Any advice? Just like Eberhard said, find some cause you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be huge. I mean, he built a trail through his subdivision. It's like, how cool is that? So, you don't have to be like change the entire world to do this. Others, and yes, I can already, you've seen this one already. So for more information on Cycling Without Age, there's the 3 chapters and their contacts, and then the international website. You just go to cyclingwithoutage.com. And I think, I don't need to show this one. So that's it. I'm done with my piece.
Great. Thanks, Greg.
So thank
really
you.
Appreciate that. We have a question from Ben, and he is wondering if your program reaches out to the special needs populations.
I
Greg,
think Greg can't hear us.
That's why.
Greg, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now. I had
Oh.
my own volume turned down, so you guys could hear that video and I couldn't, but that's okay.
Yeah, sound was coming through just great. We got to hear how much fun she was having on that ride. So thank you for sharing that. So what we do have a question for you from Ben, and they're wondering if the program reaches out to the special needs population.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, it does. Right now in McHenry County, we're focused on seniors to start with. But there are many chapters around the country that have support special needs. Portland, Maine, for one, they have an amazing program that actually started with special needs passengers and now has sort of incorporated seniors. So yes, I'm not sure we're quite there yet. You know, we're so new, so we're sort of starting with isolated seniors, and then we hope over time to expand more towards special needs passengers. But that's a great question.
Thanks. All right, and then we have a question from Ralph, wondering about the secret to fundraising for this kind of program, since it obviously needs more specialized bicycles than a regular user might have.
Yeah, that is the 64,000. Let's see, maybe $12,000 question. Yeah, it's been a bigger challenge than I thought, at least speaking personally for our chapter. You know, we did get a grant that paid for almost half of a Trishaw last year, and enough money to fund the startup cost, insurance, and whatnot. And so this year we're looking to buy another Trishaw. And so we're actively raising money as we speak to purchase the second one. You know, they are expensive. You think, you know, really $12,000? It's more like 11, and then you've got the shipping from Europe to Rhode Island, and then Rhode Island to Chicago, and but anyway, they are what they are. I mean, they are beautiful machines, but you're right. So secret to fundraising, you know, we're doing a grant thing. We're doing private foundations. We haven't had as much luck with like Rotaries and stuff that I thought we might, but we're still pursuing that. And then of course, you know, private donations, you know, fund Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So that's really what we're doing. It's been a challenge not being able to do events. You know, like last year, we had hoped to do a big open house and, you know, ride days and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we couldn't do any of that. So that's been a bit of a challenge. I'm sure it's been that way for a lot of nonprofits, but us included. But anyway, good question, Rob. We can chat more if you, no pun intended, if you wish.
So Eberhard has a question about whether people who are not living in a facility can apply for rides, or is this just limited to senior facilities?
No,
so far?
Yeah. Great question. Not at all. I should have clarified that. No, and any senior that, in fact, that Dolores is one of those. She lives in an apartment in Hebron, you know, by herself. So, you know, it could be anybody. It was great. She came out, she invited her neighbors in her, she had her broom and her hair thing, and then the guy was next door, and he complains all the time. So he came out, he complained, and it was really funny. We had a great time.
Okay. And okay, so it's about 2:40 right now. So we're actually going to circle back to Eberhard for a short bit before we go back to some more questions for you, Greg, from our audience. And just that way we get a chance to ask all the ones that have come in through the chat. So for Eberhard, we have a comment about ADA accessibility issues. Making sure that it's important to get those submitted to proper jurisdiction so everybody's got access. And it sounds like that tags in kind of to what you're talking about with the noticing liability issues in terms of blockages in our network?
Yes and no. I think the planners are already doing a good job with that. You know, they have the responsibilities when they touch a road. And we just actually had something bad happen because of ADA. There was a nice connection from the trail to the road and with the curb cut, and I could use it and get out on the road. And all of a sudden the curb cut disappeared. And I said, what the heck are you doing? I said, ADA, this has to go further over. You cannot cross right there. This close to the street and yada, yada. So we do not get much involved with the ADA stuff. It's usually planned already well for as it's in the rules. But if we do see something that could be improved, we will definitely let the agencies in charge know. And there was maybe one other question that I saw.
Yes.
We might have circled to it.
We have one question about how advocates and the MC Bike Club work together. Do they have common membership? Is it a little bit more separated?
We don't have membership per se. As I said, I have a list of people that are interested, that get the newsletter, people that get involved and so forth. But we don't have membership. We haven't any fees or anything like that. I am a member of the McHenry County Bicycle Club, and they do the riding and everything, and they are very supportive of us. So they have been giving us some money, which covers our cost for the website, which is probably our biggest cost. And they have supported our Bikes for the Needy program, you know, when you need to buy some new parts to stick to a bike and so forth. I have a column. I have a one-pager every time their newsletter comes out, and it gets published with the newsletter so they know what we're doing. And if we have a special event, like I had a presentation on a certain subject with the county board, and they showed up. So that day they had a ride. They said, oh, well, then we start our ride at the county building. And they showed up with their jerseys with 20 people. They sat in the audience while I was giving my presentation. And, you know, then somebody got up, had 3 minutes and said, we support this and so forth. And so it's a good working relationship. They are interested in advocacy. They're not doing it actively. We're doing it, but we're working together and they support us. And that's wonderful.
All right, so it looks like that's all the questions we have for Eberhard. So it looks like we have 2 more for you, Greg, both from Ralph. The first question, he's wondering about if your organization has any obligations to the international organization. Greg, you're muted.
We see you talk, we don't hear you.
Sorry. Okay. No, there's really, it's a pretty loose arrangement. You just sign up to be a chapter. That's about it. You have to, I should say that there are some basic protocols they want you to follow. You know, you can't charge for rides, things like that, you know. But other than that, no, it's pretty, you know, there's not a whole lot of, you don't have to pay any dues, anything like that. But you get a sticker for your Trishaw, woohoo, and that's about it.
Great. And I guess similar along the lines of asking about like dues, if what are the ancillary costs of the program, such as insurance and training for your Trishaw operators?
Yeah, another good question. Surprisingly, insurance is not that bad. Between the volunteer insurance, the Trishaw, we do insure the Trishaw, and you know, our board, because we're a nonprofit, you know, 501c3, all that kind of stuff. That's like $1,500 a year, and then, you know, we have some limited marketing and you know, whatnot. I don't know. operating costs are maybe call it $4,000 a year right now. I mean, that's after 1 year, so I guess I don't have too much experience with that. But the whole cost is the startup, is purchasing the Trishaws and transportation. You know, right now we're hauling the Trishaw around on a small utility trailer that one of our board members is graciously allowing us to use. And then all of the other time is volunteer driven, and the vehicles and the gas, you know, everybody just, you know, donates that basically. So call it $3,000 or $4,000 right now. It might go up a little bit with the second Trishaw, but that's about it. So it's basically capital equipment, and then the operation, you know, it's all volunteer driven. We have the Bike Haven in McHenry, Josh Arno does all the maintenance for free. I went in, and I think before I could get the words out of my mouth, he goes, "Oh yeah, of course I'll do that." And I think, okay, thanks. We have free storage. The Conservation District has a barn that they let us, we have exclusive use of near Glacial Park between McHenry and Ringwood, and the Crystal Lake Park District equally has a exclusive barn that we can use near Crystal Lake. That's been really wonderful. So, you know, you got to have those kind of partnerships, I guess, to, you know, to be successful.
Well, it looks like that is all the questions we currently have in from the audience. Really would love to thank the both of you for coming here and describing everything that you've been able to accomplish and do and help just make bicycling that much more connected to your communities. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Greg and Eberhard. Those were fantastic presentations, and you're doing really inspiring work. And we hope we can spread the word about what you're doing to the whole region, so we can offer more people can support what you're doing. So thank you, and thank you, Brian, and thank you all for joining us. And yeah, we'll send out. Greg, if I can get the link to that video, I'll send it to everyone today so people can check it out.
I didn't finish it. I didn't know if it was planned or not. His own stupid volume turned out.
Yeah, no worries. But thank you all, and we'll see you hopefully at some other Suburban Action Week sessions.